Hello, today I'm analyzing the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic using aggregate demand. During COVID-19, aggregate demand shifted left. According to the components of aggregate demand, consumption, investment, government spending, and net exports fell sharply as people stayed home and lost jobs. Businesses also cut investments due to uncertainty. This reflects the interest rate effect, where lower income reduces spending and weakens demand in the economy, even as the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates to stimulate borrowing. Overall, aggregate demand decreased, shifting from aggregate demand 1 to aggregate demand 2. What happened to aggregate demand? At the same time, short-run aggregate demand supply also shifted left. COVID-19 disrupted global supply chains, forced factories to close, and reduced available labor due to illness and lockdowns. This is a classic negative supply shock, where firms produce less at every price level. As a result, short-run aggregate shifted from short-run aggregate 1 to short-run aggregate 2. What happened to short-run aggregate supply? In the short run, the economy experienced a sharp decline in real GDP and a spike in unemployment. In the long run, an economy can return to its potential output, but only if wages and prices adjust. However, recovery was slowed by sticky wages and expectations. Sticky wages. Sticky wages slowed the return to long-run equilibrium. Workers' wages didn't adjust immediately downward, so firms reduced hiring instead of cutting pay. Additionally, expectations played a role. Businesses expected continued uncertainty, so they delayed investment and hiring, keeping output below potential for longer. Reflection. If I were a policymaker during COVID-19, I would prioritize restoring output over controlling inflation in the short run. The main problem early on was collapsing demand and employment, not inflation. Expansionary fiscal problems like policy like stimulus checks and unemployment benefits helped support aggregate demand. However, I would also monitor inflation carefully as supply constraints eased. This is my visual aid. Thank you.